The question is not really about whether the critical minerals or the rare earth minerals matter or they will matter or whether they matter today. The question is who will lead in unlocking their value.
Rare earth minerals have moved from niche inputs to strategic assets, shaping the global energy transition, tech supply chains, and industrial policy choices worldwide. As countries race to secure resilient and diversified sources, Africa is increasingly in focus. But this opportunity is about far more than extraction. Today, we explore what it will take to harness Africa's rare earth potential. And I'm going to have that conversation with Tania. Tania, thank you so much for your time. So we're talking about rare earths, and we've been talking about them for quite some time. Why is this Africa's moment to shine?
Africa is endowed with abundant mineral resources that are critical for green energy technologies. We have lithium in Zimbabwe, PGMs in Zimbabwe and South Africa. We also have rare earths, significant rare earths deposits in South Africa, Malawi, Burundi, Madagascar. As a result, we are uniquely positioned to lead in the green energy transitioning. And this is different with mining that used to happen in the past. It was gold mining, it was diamond mining, and those resources, yes, we have them in Africa, but we could not refine them in Africa. They were being refined outside, processed and manufactured outside of Africa in the past. And they were not leading in terms of the green technologies like what we are seeing with the rare earths and the critical minerals today.
As we have this conversation, as the conversation becomes even louder, especially when it comes to Africa's role, how are you as Standard Bank thinking about financing the value chain, or perhaps even the entire value chain, as opposed to standalone projects?
Okay, so Standard Bank is very active in the mining sector, and because of how we have operated in Africa for over 160 years, we have gained phenomenal experience in terms of funding mining projects, and we have evolved over time from funding just standalone projects to funding the entire value chain. And we are talking from exploration to production, we are talking from processing to manufacturing, even downstream industries. What we are providing as Standard Bank is financing not just the mining operation, but the entire value chain that's associated with the mining sector to mitigate risk, to manage the risks that are often present in the global markets, where they present volatility in terms of prices. In Africa, what we are seeing is that we are price takers. We are price takers. We don't determine prices, but we are, as Standard Bank, what we have done is we have considered value chain financing to ensure that every player along the value chain of actually producing the final product to benefit the world is actually financed, is fully supported to de-risk any potential issues that may arise by just sticking to one mining operation.
Let's delve in a little bit deeper here when it comes to that type of financing. What kind of financing are we talking about here that is most relevant when it comes to rare earths development? Is it more project financing, trade finance, blended finance? How are you thinking about it?
So all of the above apply, actually. So it just depends with the stage of the operation that we are looking at. So project financing does work, but there are parameters that needs to be considered. So an operation needs to ensure that it's as a financier, we need to be comfortable that an operation is bankable, because if it's project financing, usually it's greenfield. What it means is they have not yet started to generate cash flows, which will enable them to repay any funding solutions that can be given to them. Most financial institutions are comfortable with responsible lending, where they put in money into an operation with proven cash flows. Even if they are to provide like projected cash flows, they actually go further to ensure that that operation actually has firm offtake agreements in place, because we need to lend responsibly. We use depositors' funds. We need to ensure that whenever we are giving in money, or we are putting in money into a mining operation, that money at some point will be repaid. So for rare earths processing and refinery, those minerals, even critical minerals, they are capital intensive. They require project finance. They also require partnerships that can be established, that can put in big money to ensure that those rare earths are fully processed and provide the final products that can actually ensure value accrues to Africa, and not for the other processing part to happen outside of Africa.
I was going to ask you about that in terms of what role do international partnerships play in de-risking some of these investments, especially when it comes to rare earths processing and refining. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so DFIs, international partnerships, those ones are critical. They play a pivotal role in the mining or extraction of rare earths and critical minerals, because these projects, like I mentioned, they are capital intensive. They require millions of money to be invested into that operation. And it's very difficult for one private player to raise actually that money. So you bring in a lot of partners that can actually bring in capital, large sums of capital to de-risk the project. We have a lot of DFIs that are willing to extend such huge amounts. We actually have governments even willing to come to the party to put in huge amounts into mining operations to ensure that at the end of the day, it's their country or it's Africa which is benefiting. Because what is critical really when it comes to rare earths and critical minerals, it's not just the extraction of minerals out of the ground. We need to process them locally. We need to refine them locally so that the value accrues to Africa and not abroad.
What signals do you take as a financial institution that governments are committed to long-term industrial transformation? What do you pay attention to?
I think it's very important for governments to set clear, credible, and consistent policies that ensures that they are in it for the long haul. They are not looking just to record short-term gains. It's strictly important that as Africans, especially Africa, as Africans, we understand that it's up to us to ensure that we create that enabling environment through putting in place policies that attract investments, through incentivizing even the existing investors in the country that would enable them to want to beneficiate further or to value add mining operations locally.
What distinguishes a project that is able to attract capital and one that isn't? What have you seen in terms of lessons learned and things people can improve on?
I think what is trending now is capital is following sustainability these days. What we are saying is for a mining operation to attract capital, it needs to be ESG compliant. It needs to demonstrate that it has sustainability and ESG goals that it wishes to meet. And it's a box that needs to be ticked, especially given the green discussions that are happening around the world. That's number one. Number two, the operation needs to be bankable. It needs to demonstrate that it has clear cash flow projections, firm offtake arrangements in place, and also it needs to show that it has strong governance. And any entity with clear and strong governance in place can, in fact, attract funding. It can actually attract investors. So it's really critical to have governance that are in order and in place. For the operation that is unable to attract finance, I think it's mainly around transparency, lack of transparency. If there is lack of transparency, it's very difficult for any financial institution or investors to put in money into such operations.
The conversation around rare earths also gives us an opportunity to be able to rethink Africa's role when it comes to the global supply chain. What other aspects need to be developed at the same time while we have this conversation? Is it more around infrastructure? Is it more about skills? What can we do in tandem at the same time that we want our voices heard, especially at a global level, around what we can offer and the potential of it?
Okay. Policy alignment. We need to have consistent policies that aligns with what we are trying to achieve as a continent or as a country. We also need to ensure that we are investing in our infrastructure. It's critical that we have transport systems that are efficient, that can actually move our processed or finished product out of Zimbabwe or out of any other African country to which fetches higher value in terms of it being a processed or a final product. And what is also critical is also the fact that we need to ensure that our people or the workforce is skilled. You need the technical know-how to be able to process minerals into final goods. If in the case of rare earths and critical minerals, we want to be able to reach a stage where we can actually produce lithium carbonate, lithium hydroxide, which are the components that actually go directly into the batteries.
I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations with investors over the past few years or so. What advice would you have for other investors who are going to be watching this conversation, listening to it, and perhaps they've been curious about Africa, they've been curious about the continent, especially now that we're having this conversation around rare earths, and their curiosity kind of led them to stay on the sidelines instead of, dipping in. What message would you have for those investors?
The timing is right because of the green energy agenda. The green energy agenda is accelerating. The question is not really about whether the critical minerals or the rare earth minerals matter or they will matter or whether they matter today. The question is who will lead in unlocking their value. The timing is right. The resources have been proven. I think we are seeing production coming out of Africa. What we just need is processing and refining them. This is the time for you to invest in Africa. And my advice is you would rather get in now than later, because later it will be more difficult for you to enter into an established market.
Thank you so much for your time. Well, for more insights, you can go to miningindaba.com.